Welcome to this week's chapter review of Martial Magic and Muscle. This is chapter 64, Lance and How Babies Are Made. Not wasting time on thinking over the title as it will become obvious pretty soon, the chapter starts up with a three-way split between Lance and Margaret, each of them facing down their respective enemies, but as points out there is no end to them, which makes me continue to feel that there has to be some kind of trick to this that they just aren't getting, otherwise this fight is going to be truly unwinnable for them. And right in the middle of a fight, the sound of a baby crying can be heard, and after hears it he turned to see a black baby carriage with an actual baby in it, surrounded by the monsters but not actively being attacked by them. And while he is trying to figure out what is going on with it, a voice comes from the baby saying BBS. And the next thing knows, he has been reduced to a baby, his clothes swamping him as they did not conform to his new size. While is attempting to figure out what just happened, speaking in baby language with small translation bubble for us to read, the baby in the carriage begins to laugh as its form begins to morph, turning into some kind of black mass before taking on the form of a strange-looking figure wearing baby clothes, only enlarged for adult. They inform us that they are one of the 6 individuals called the Criminal Canes, and they are called Sitter Baby. A small text box beneath them explains that the Criminal Canes are Innocent Zero's army of death row inmates. Nice to know that there is potential 5 others like this guy running around. Sitter Baby reveals to us through his thoughts what his magic actually does, while also giving us a close-up look at his face. According to him, his magic turns anyone into a child, possessing no experience or skill, so everyone will die weak and helpless. Even as a baby takes exception to that and starts yelling back at him, raising his wand to try and attack him, but for his efforts he gets naught but a puff of smoke. Wisely realizing he is outmatched here, he begins to tear up and crawl away as quickly as he possibly can. Realizes, despite his frustration, he is in no position to fight anything right now, so he resigns himself to going and seeking out help from Lance, whom he easily finds and starts calling out for help. Of course all Lance hears is the sound of baby noises. Lance gives him what can only be described as a look of somewhere between disgust and annoyance, questioning on if it is really a time for jokes, and even with trying to explain to him he can't understand a thing he is saying, but he understands enough to move when a spell gets fired at him by Sitter Baby, grabbing the baby as he moves out of the way. Lance quickly puts everything together, realizing that must be what is wrong with and then he comedically mentions that even as a baby is loathsome, with an annoying face. You can say that all you like, Lance, but that doesn't change the fact that you saved him anyway. I wonder if he would have done that at the beginning of the series, or if hanging around with this bunch of idiots has softened him up a bit. And just like that, several of those black monsters attempt to attack Lance as he is carrying in his arms. They do not manage to get too far as they are crushed under the effect of Lance's graviole, providing him time to try and flee. Annoying, noting that he'll have to take care of protecting the baby form of while dealing with these monsters. That is when a baby rattle rolls across the ground and swiftly breaks out of Lance's arms and crawls over to it, much to his annoyance. Realizing that despite himself being able to think like himself, he is still a baby and is thus unable to resist certain childish reactions, like going after a new toy. And before Lance can pick him up, he too is turned into a baby, landing on top of And that's when it is revealed, that even as both babies they can't understand one another, which makes sense given how baby speak isn't exactly a defined language and just highlights how often in other series it is played out that they can understand one another's babbling. As the pair of them are looking at each other wondering what to do next, one of the monsters attempts to attack them from behind, causing them to scream and leap out of the way, remarkable avoiding being damaged at all. But before they can try anything, a rattle moves across the ground and both of them are taken in by the toy, until another monster tries attacking them again, that is. Sitter Baby cannot help but mock them, commenting that after he has cast his spell then there is no way they can win, as now they can't even use 1/10 of their magic, so there is nothing they can do. And he also expresses his sadistic and cowardly personality, as to him a fight which is one-sided is the best, because it does not put him at any risk because there is no way that his opponent can fight back. He is too cowardly to even approach the babies directly, so instead he gives the order for the monsters to attack, but that turns out not to matter as Lance raises his wand and casts sectional graviole, crushing both the monsters and Sita Baby into the ground with tremendous force, while Dot can only stare on in complete shock. While being pinned down, Sita Baby can't help but freak out at the revelation of the sheer magical power which Lance possesses, to the point when even reverted into the form of an infant his magical power is so great. In the absence of Finn, who is most likely still frozen in time, Dot is the one who realizes how Lance pulled off this amazing feat. Rather than spreading out his magic as he usually does, he instead focused his magic on a small area, but even with that, if it hadn't been for the fact that Sita Baby was a complete wuss, there is no way that he could have won. However, even so, Dot can't help but admit that Lance deserves his position as top student in their year. Lance, still in his baby form, tells Sita Baby that he was right about the fight being one-sided, and Dot immediately thinks about how he cannot understand him. Then we get a small glimpse of Caldo still fighting against the monsters, thinking on how rarely there are those who have talent which defy their age, but even so he would not expect anything less from Easton. The way he says that makes me think there is possible other magical institutions like this one out there in the world, which he does not have such a high option of. Then just before we move over to where Mash and Cell War are, we see that Lance has returned to normal, apparently without Sita Baby actively keeping his magic going, it just runs out. Then we move over to Cell War, who cannot believe that Mash would forget him, questioning the mushroom-haired muscle-brained young man if he really forgot him. Mash comedically tries to remember who he is but ends up coming up short, slumping his shoulders and looking away as he apologizes. And Cell War ends the chapter much like he did in the previous chapter, staring wide-eyed in complete disbelief at Mash with a frozen expression. I wonder if we will get an actual fight between these two next week, or if we will get to see Father and Wahlberg. Well, that's the end of the chapter, so I've been the Anonymous Weeb and this has been my review of Mashle chapter 64. If you enjoyed, feel free to hit the like button, and if you wish to see more of my videos in the future when they are released, feel free to hit the subscribed button and press that bell. But either way, good day to you.